this looks like cold-blooded murder. And it looks like an attempted cover-up of that murder that just happened to be caught on video. Now, I think the concern everyone should have is the police report says what every police report is supposed to say. I was fearful for my life. This was a dangerous person. And yet it turns out it wasn't true. We see this over and over again. The police report says this black man is dangerous. I was so afraid for my life. Oh, my God, I had to do something. He was going to kill me. And now we finally have something where nobody can say that the police report was true, and you get this murder charge. But what if there had been no video? What if it had just been another situation where an unarmed black man was killed and the police officer said, well, he grabbed me, he had my weapon, and we would have all gone on as if nothing happened? We have to start dealing with the fact that there are two standards of justice in this country, and you do not see these kind of things happening. Unfortunately, they shouldn't happen to anybody, but they're not happening at the same level to white men. They're happening over and over and over again to unarmed black men in America. And I defy any of the people who said all these other cases, you're playing the race card, et cetera, and he shouldn't have fought back. Well, here's a situation where the person did not comply, but nobody could say that this man should have been shot down like a dog the way that he was. This is despicable. It is a cold-blooded act of murder and probably an attempted cover-up. And but for the video, no one would have believed that man's family.
Mark, the fact that they've charged this officer with murder so quickly, what do you make of that?
Well, obviously the mayor does not want a Ferguson redux, so I mean it does not surprise me in the least. I hate to, normally I like to mix it up a little bit, but both Harry and Van are spot on. First of all, if this were a civilian and you shot somebody in the back 8 times, you'd be in custody. There'd be no bail. And does this happen all the time? Well, I'll tell you something. It happens all too frequently, and I see the police reports. I try these cases in courts throughout the country, and the police always come up with the same thing, and it's like a standard script that they teach at Police University 101. Always say that there's a threat. Always say he reached for your gun, and then say he wrestled for your gun, because that's what this report said. I'm sure it had something in it that said he wrestled for the taser, he had the gun, he was going to fire, I was in fear for my life. But for the videotape, which is, the videotapes have taken down leaders in foreign countries. Maybe it's time that videotapes take down some leaders right here in America, because this is an epidemic in the various communities of the U.S. And unless somebody sees it with their own eyes, this is what's just so crazy about it, they will not believe that this is possible. I see jurors as recently as last month. I had a hung jury 8-4, where the 4 white jurors just could not get their minds around the fact that the police could do this. I mean, there is a exalted position that we've put law enforcement in, and people, absent a videotape, they just refuse to believe that this could happen.
Well, I thought, Harry, in defense of police, and I'm trying to show as many different sides here. Right. I think a lot of people on juries give a lot of sympathy to what police officers say. Look, it's a very difficult job. They're having to make split-second decisions. However, when you have a videotape like this, it's very. I can't come up with any.
Neither can I.
Explanation.
I can't come up with any way he's going to be able to defend this. And the points the two gentlemen made also, blanketing, this happens all the time. This does not happen all the time. All right. These are very few incidents for the millions and millions of police officers that interact with people every day. All right, this is not an epidemic proportions.
Harry,
Ferguson.
Harry, it's an
can I finish,
epidemic
please, sir? Can I finish?
The only reason, no, Harry,
let me finish. Please let me finish, okay?
Let him finish, Mark.
Right?
Mark, let him finish.
What happened in Ferguson and here in New York, even the U.S. Attorney's Office is not going after them for civil rights violations. Those two incidents, those officers are justified in what they did, all right? This incident, the officer is not justified in what he's doing, okay? And therefore, he's going to pay the price for it. But the blanket police officers like this happens every time should not happen.
Because
Mark,
there's Harry, I'll just tell you, I understand you're a cop and you've got your position, you got your viewpoint. The fact remains, I could tick off 100 different examples in the last 2 years. The only reason that you've got to fess up at this point is because there's a videotape. It happened in Salt Lake City with Danielle Willard. It happens in Bakersfield. It happened twice in Bakersfield in the last year. So listen, Harry, why don't you let me finish instead of trying to scream over me?
Mark,
why don't you just let me finish,
Mark,
Harry?
go ahead.
Right. So let me just tell you something, Harry. It happens all the time. And it happens in these communities generally where they don't have a voice. And the problem is that unless there's a videotape, nobody wants to believe that it happens. But you know what? Doing this for over 30 years, I'll tell you that there's one thing that happens repeatedly, is you hear the same story every time, virtually almost as if it's a script coming out of the cop's mouths whenever there's a shooting.
Mark,
like
let me ask you.
To Police 101 and they've got a script.
Van, I want to get to you in a second, but Mark, just as a defense attorney, what do you foresee as the defense for this police officer?
Well, I'll tell you exactly what's going to happen. I mean, they're going to say that he was in fear for his life, that he wasn't sure that the guy didn't have a gun, that he's going to say, basically, parrot what his report said, that he thought he had a gun, that he thought he had the other one, that it was a split-second decision, that he fired because he thought he turned and that maybe he was going to turn and fire at him. It's going to be the usual script that they read from. The fact remains, he was pulled over for a broken taillight. My father, who was a prosecutor for many years, used to say there's more guys in state prison for broken taillights than any other offense. Broken taillight means go hassle somebody of color. That's what it's code for go pull over somebody with some BS justification.
Van, I want you to be able to weigh in, but we got to take a quick break.